don't read the lyrics by themselves on your own in a dark room, you know? Like I feel like there's
How's everything been so far? How's the response been?
Pretty overwhelming. Lots of positive feedback. Uh, One thing we all think is cool is we keep seeing different songs pop up as people's favorites, right? So that's a really cool feeling to think that the whole album is being well received, right? Because
Sure.
sometimes you put out 10 songs and everyone's like, oh, this one track, this one track. But yeah, we've seen different people say track one's their favorite, track five is their favorite, track three, all of it. So that's been really cool.
Sure.
yeah. Yeah, one thing that I noticed too is that everybody says that this is like our best material to date, and that's how we kind of felt releasing it.
Yeah.
So it felt really vindicated that, it's not like we were crazy in our heads or anything. It's like we've really done something with this release for ourselves.
Yeah. Going off of that, can you talk about just what makes this different, like you said, your best work yet compared to past releases?
Um, I don't, I think we just, one thing I said before is like, I think we really let off the reins on our songwriting and about what elements can go in what song. We just decided that like whatever conveys the emotion best is right for the song, whether it be full on hardcore, some emo trap action, some straight pop punk, or just like rock and roll guitar solo, whatever. It was all on the table. That was one thing that really felt liberating about this release is like, we were really authentic to like who we are. Even each member has something different about them, and you can find that inside the music.
Sure. Nice. Now, these songs, did they come together pretty quickly, or are these ones that, you've been kind of holding on to for a couple years?
I know
Um,
what one
you
in
go.
particular, yeah, one song in particular, Salt Lines, we had that demo cooked up for our last release,
Okay.
which came out last summer. So the demo must have been at least a couple years old, and it finally made its way onto this album. And I think that's our normal process. We write a batch of songs. A year later, we can go into the studio with them, and then a year later, it's finally released.
Hmm.
So, yeah, lots of this stuff simmers on our computer hard drives for a long time
Sure.
before we
Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
I remember showing the demo for Dark Clouds like what feels like years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
You know, and but there's something that really came together fast, and it was a song called a new tip of gray,
Mhm.
and that one was the last one we wrote for the EP, like almost like a month before we were set for the studio.
Sure.
We had these six songs, and it felt like we were writing a really put together essay, but we were missing a whole paragraph.
Mhm.
So it's like we had this idea and concept, or at least a feeling that we wanted to convey. So when that song came together, not only did it come together really fast, but it quickly became the standout track to put out as a single.
Mhm.
And we actually got the EP name from that song.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was more ways than one, like the final piece of the puzzle. But that one was the only one. The other ones were kind of we were just working on for a long time,
Mhm.
just having the just having the time, I guess.
Sure. And that was the first, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the first single, right? For those.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Nice. Can you talk a little bit about, obviously, like your lyrics mean a lot to people, very relatable who are going through, like dark things, mental health challenges. Is it cathartic for you to get those words on paper, like instead of letting them kind of fester inside?
Yeah, there's this kind of thought process I've found myself falling into for songwriting. Now, I'm an instrumentalist first.
Mhm.
I didn't really. go into writing music with the thought of, lyrics and melody and being a vocalist is my only focus. I wasn't even the singer of the band originally.
Mm,
So I think with that type of mentality, it's really fun and easy for me to write instrumental tracks, come up with a riff here and there. But when it comes to lyrics, sometimes it can be a bit difficult to find something in the moment. So what I've noticed I do is that my anxieties and insecurities that I'll be festering on, when I start to think about lyrics for a song, I'll just do my regular style of, like I have a side project which is mostly rap. Like I'll just start the project and I'll just freestyle over it, like whatever. Maybe if it doesn't even rhyme, I'm just saying words, and I do that also for Captain stuff.
mm,
So when you're writing and you have this emo instrumental behind you, you kind of don't know what words are going to come out, just freestyling off the dome. But that's when your subconscious can do a lot of heavy lifting.
right.
And you end up saying words that you didn't even necessarily know you needed to say.
Mm,
And then when you write them down, you can go into that thought a bit more. Or it's just a thought that's been ruminating over and over and over again. And then when you finally think about lyrics, you just immediately write those down because, it's just a thought you've been having. So
sure.
like, therapy is expensive, but I can make demos every day. So
Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine with me.
Right, right. And there's definitely like a common thread that goes through all the songs about, like dark times and things, but there's also that theme of like getting to the other side, resilience, especially in songs like A New Type of Gray. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, was that intentional or that kind of came as you were going?
You know what? I That song was absolutely probably one of the saddest things I've ever written in my entire life until Tim helped write the back half of that song and really round out the theme of it.
Yeah.
I think I'm really good at kind of getting out what's nasty inside my mind, but I really rely on the fellas to help me work through that and find the other side, find the hope, find a new type of hope, never mind the gray. So there's a one thing that's been really awesome with this past release is that Tim, our drummer, has been helping out with lyrics.
Nice.
And I think that's been not only super important as a band to all feel involved, but it's not just me who has something to say. We all have something to say in the band, and I think that's really fortunate about the group of fellas that I'm with, is that we all trust each other to bring our best ideas forward and advocate for the ones we believe in. So that was a point in time where Tim was really advocating for changing the downtrodden vibe. And he was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to do this every night. Like, I want to have some hope at the end of the song. Like,
Yeah.
it needs to round out. And I was like, you know what? You're damn right. Like, it's not all about me. It's just about the group. And I think I'm super lucky to have an amazing group of musicians around me and lyricists too. But it's not just singer write everything. Like the whole band is involved with our music, and that's something I really like to point out to people.
Yeah, Tim, can you speak to that?
I think Luke is being really humble. Luke definitely comes up with like the vision for a lot of these songs, and I think that his heart and soul is really at the core of all the lyrical content, right? Um, but yeah, I remember when we were putting together New Type of Gray, that just subtle change from gray to hope, came on like an epiphany one night. I was writing some piano parts for that song, and the piano as an instrument just sounds very hopeful to me. It's bright and it's consonant, and so playing the instrument kind of triggered that thought process. And yeah, I'm fortunate that all the fellas, we do share ideas and we are open to each other's ideas because drummers don't get to write too many lyrics, right?
Right.
But when you come up with one and you feel strong about it, it's nice to have a band that will back you up on it. So
Yeah.
uh, it's a really good writing experience within the band. And again, Luke's just being very humble. On that note, like lots of the best drum beats on the record are from Luc's brain,
Mm.
right? Like it's just like Luc said, it's not always so cut and dry. You know, singer writes lyrics, guitar player writes guitar. Like everybody has ideas about everything.
Mhm.
I think that's, you know, hopefully what gives us kind of a unique sound is that we're all sharing ideas and spitballing and being creative like that.
Yeah. One thing I love that you guys do really well, it's like you have these really, really just devastating lyrics, but the melodies are so friggin' catchy. Like, a new type of gray, I want to be like in the pit with a beer, like screaming at one night. Like, it's just such a fun sounding song. And then you listen to the lyrics and it's like, oh my God. Um, is that intentional, like balancing that?
You know what? I guess not intentionally. Writing music, I guess I like the high energy and I like the major key. It's one thing to write stuff in a major key, but have the lyrics be, depressing. And I honestly think that's what emo is all about. Like it's where we're getting through the bullshit in a happy way. Like we get to be in the pit, screaming the lyrics, enjoying our time, but don't read the lyrics by themselves on your own in a dark room, like I feel like there's a point to having them attached to this yeah, just a vibe, like
Yeah.
the vibe itself can change the lyrics. Like, if Photograph by Nickelback was a hardcore song, it would probably mean a lot different. I think that the the vessel you choose to allow your feelings come into the world, it's it's kind of important, not necessarily consciously, but when we want to write stuff that's like, oh yeah, it feels good, but
Yeah.
then just got some stuff to say, and then you got to sing that over what we got. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, not
Yeah.
consciously. I think it's just just growing up with music that we listen to, and it all plays a part.
Yeah. Who were some of your favorites growing up?
Green Day and Avenged Sevenfold.
Nice. Tim, how about you?
For me, it was Blink 182 when I was a teenager.
Mhm.
And Blink led into like post hardcore and emo, so Silverstein and Alexis on Fire and Under Oath, that sort of stuff. And then that all led to, a second wave pop punk story so far, Neck Deep.
Yeah.
But fun fact about our band is we are split right down the middle on Blink 182 and Green Day. So
Okay.
me and Brad are Blink 182, which is the correct choice. And Luc
I
and Connor,
disagree.
well, it's okay to be wrong. Yeah, Luc and Connor are Green Day. So that's,
Okay.
if the band ever breaks up, it'll be because of that rift.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a valid fight, honestly. Well, I wore the right shirt today, I guess, Green Day.
Oh, snap. You
Suck
win.
it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Did you see they're opening the Super Bowl, I think? I said they need to be the halftime show, not just the opener.
No, they can't do the halftime show. It'll take 2 hours.
That's fair. Oh my God. I'd love to talk to you about your music videos, especially two of them. So Dark Clouds. It's like so sad but so fun. You got a clown, you got a church, you got pastel suits. It just like it looked like such a fun thing to film. Where did that idea come from and just what was the vibe like on set that day?
Oh man. Well, the vibes were great, you
Yeah.
know. Despite, having a casket and laying in it. It was like super chill. One thing, I guess a little bit about me and why we kind of had this overall concept is that I don't know if you've listened to a lot of our music, but there's a really overall theme of death being a part of all of our lyrics. And it's not in a way of, getting mad at it, but it's really an acknowledgement of it and how it's a part of our lives and you can run from it, romanticize it. It's all of these things, but it's still a part of your life. And I've had the unfortunate experience to have been to over like 30 funerals in my life. My youngest memories of like being a kid was at a funeral. And there's a line in our song Salt Lines, which is the song directly after Dark Clouds, where the line goes, "Death is a really good friend of mine." Now, this song and this video kind of wrestles with the thought of the romanticization of what dying would be like. You know, it's the whole time in the music video, you know, I'm alive, I'm singing, I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm not even there. I'm actually in the casket, and I was in the casket the whole time. And it's it's a whole story about your fears and like what you think what dying would be like, and how people would not care, how death is a clown joking at you, mocking you. But when you come to the realization that it's like actually okay, and it's like it's going to be a part of your life whether you like it or not, you can have comfort, or at least acceptance. And that's like the confetti at the end, where it's like it's not going to rain down on me, you know. It's a celebration, because like even the life that we get to have, for those that unfortunately have it cut short, you know, life can be still beautiful for those fleeting moments.
Yeah.
And that's like the point of this video, is that even though death is such a serious and stark concept, or you can still have fun. Like I've done a few eulogies in my lifetime, and I don't think it's a good eulogy unless people are laughing.
Yes.
You know, I think that's a really, really important, especially being Indigenous. Laughter is our best medicine.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't like to cry and wallow. We'll just make a joke instead.
Yeah.
And that's it turned into a music video.
Yeah. I love that. And I totally get that. I come from a big Italian family. I did the eulogy for my uncle a couple years back, had the whole church laughing. So I
Yeah.
totally understand that. I do. Um, I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the video for a new type of gray, which is, super emotional from start to finish. It follows the young Indigenous girl through the foster care system. And in the end, it's black and white. She goes through the floor, it's colorful, she's back with her family. Where did that idea come from? And also the idea to kind of spotlight the foster care issue that is touched on at the very end.
Well, I wish I could say that it was a story I thought up fully, but this is a story about, you know, some of my family members. Um, and especially those other Indigenous people I know in the community,
Mhm.
where they get removed from their family and they go to new places that, you know, they do their best, but they're often lacking the compassion towards somebody removed from their culture and way of life. So when the kid first goes to the first home, I don't know if you've noticed this, but doesn't even have luggage. It's a garbage bag. And that's a reality for lots of kids. Like where um, this is actually it's a soft spot for me as well. Why I chose this theme is that my mom is a program manager for Métis Child and Family Services. So she actually works with tons of foster families to make sure that they have the appropriate and adequate care for Indigenous needs, whether it's First Nations, Métis, or Inuit. That's and then my dad also worked in social services as well. And then myself, I ended up working as a youth worker. And I've worked at several different Indigenous agencies, nonprofits that have focused on the health and wellness of Indigenous people. And this is something that I've just really noticed, is that lots of people are dealing with the trauma that stems with isolation from their family and community, removal from the home. See, one thing that I've noticed also working in the social services industry is that, well, one of the things that really bothers me is that, let's say an Indigenous family is on the poverty end of lifestyles, and a child can be removed from poverty, get placed in a home, and then that foster parent gets paid because that foster kid is in the home. Why couldn't that money be provided to the child in the first place in the home that would have probably been okay at, right? So this is a really broken system that has unfortunately affected not only Indigenous people, but all kids across North America and Europe and anybody involved in this type of system. It's just not a necessarily healthy one. It's one made with good intentions, but that's more often than not allows people who want to take advantage of those in a precarious position or those at risk and take advantage of those because they are now in a position of power. And it's unfortunately something that I really wanted to say. And having a really supportive band and team behind us, like this had to go through a lot of different people in order to come to life. And we needed an extra budget for it to get lots of this concept put together. We needed an extra day of shooting. You know, we really put all the stops out just to make sure that we could tell a message. And yeah, it's just growing up in the community and seeing it firsthand on the family side as well as the social services side. It just led me to a point where I had no other option to make that video. Mm-hmm. And the story was amazingly done with Versa Films. Dylan, he was the main writer for that story. You know, we worked together on the concept. We had an Indigenous consultant to make sure everything was, you know, kosher. But it was just a really well made production, and I'm just thankful that we got to have that message.
Did you get any, I'm assuming you did, what was the response from the fans? And then also, Tim, what did it mean to you and the other guys to kind of help tell that story?
The response from the fans was amazing. We noticed in the YouTube comments, some people were sharing their own similar stories. Mm. We had people reach out and say, this was my experience. Thank you so much for validating it. Right. And that, I think that tugged on our heartstrings quite a bit. Right. And the experience of just helping bring it to life, I think it was huge for us to be able to do something about this. Right. You know, the first step for societal change is awareness. You have to start somewhere through awareness. And you know, for myself, Brad, and Connor to be able to use the platform we have to help Luc and the Indigenous community share this story and share this topic, I think it meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes we're not sure how we can help. Right. You look out at the world and it's crazy and it's chaos, and you think, where do I even begin? Right. Where do I start to help? But as musicians and artists, this is how we can do it. Mm-hmm. Right? This is what we do best, and this is the platform we have to influence, to shape, to inspire. So it was a great experience for all of us.
Yeah, it's great. I'd love to kind of shift gears a little bit. So, Luc, you mentioned it earlier, and I'd love to kind of touch on this for new fans who might not know. You started as the original drummer, and Tim, you came in a little after the fact once Luc switched to vocals. If you can both speak on just how the band's dynamic has, you know, shifted since then, and how you're both kind of feeling now in your respective roles.
Yo, I don't even like to think about it. It feels so foreign, not gonna lie. It feels so weird. I sit behind the drum set now and I'm like, why was I ever even sitting here? Like, I grew up on the stage, like as a very young boy. My dad, he was an MC for lots of different events, and since I was like 4 years old, he'd get me to come up on stage, tell a joke. And when I was 9 years old, I started performing Métis dancing. So I grew up on the stage. I'm so comfortable standing on the stage that the transition to being a frontman wasn't actually that bad. It was the singing that was like, oh no, I got to be a singer now. Because like I never even had that thought to myself. I was thinking, I'm trying to play the drums, you know. But it was a big learning curve, and I had a lot to kind of step forward for when it came to vocals, and I know I've come a long way. But I remember when we had the thought that we needed a new drummer, it was literally just like Tim Wilson. You know, he's like legend in the city. You know, we our old bands would open for his band because they were popping, you know, and we were like, Tim, come fill in. And at the end of the tour, he's like, all right, I guess I'll.
Never left.
You got me. You
Yeah, we
got me.
got him. But yeah, how do you feel since joining the band, Tim?
Oh, so good.
That's good.
Overall, this has been the best band experience I've ever had. And Calling All Captains is probably my 30th band, right? We've all been doing this since we were teenagers, and there was lots of stepping stones for us all to get here. We all had bands that would rise and fall. We had bands that would fizzle out. So I joined up with Captains. It's like 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was a long road to get here, but now that I'm here, this is the best band experience I've ever had. So I'm really grateful that the boys thought of me when they were looking for a drummer. And it's funny. I always joke with Luke. I say, you went from drummer to singer. You got demoted. I'm really sorry. His career really took a step down with that one.
Yeah.
But
Now everybody just watches you.
but I mean, Luke stepping into vocals, like he was a natural, right? He really is a good showman. And I think it was like a pretty seamless transition.
Mhm.
Right? So yeah, mad props to Luke for, shifting roles like that and taking on a lot of new responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I was just happy to come and, you know, play that role.
Yeah. Do you remember those early days, like maybe the first show that you played, like the four of you? Did it just kind of click easily?
I do remember that show.
I do
We
remember that show too. I remember the
Kamloops.
space in Kamloops. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember playing that show. And what was really cool is, it was the first show of a tour. Like Captains had asked me to just come and fill in for this tour. And yeah, first night, I think we had maybe 14 dates, 2 or 3 weeks on the tour. And we show up to Kamloops and there were dedicated Captains fans there, right? Which was super, super cool, right? Just a good omen for the rest of the tour. And yeah, I remember playing, getting off stage and being like, wow, these guys have already laid a lot of groundwork around the country. Because I remember touring in my previous bands and it's tough, right? It's tough to build a following in your own city, let alone in cities across the country or across the world. So doing this tour, I saw that Captains had already laid a lot of good groundwork. They had a lot of dedicated fans. And I caught the vibe like immediately. What was it
I'll
like?
never forget. I'll never forget it because I pulled up. I was wearing my Tommy Hilfiger windbreaker that I just got, and I was feeling so fly. And then I went to go sing, and I was just like, "Oh man, singing's tough," because I was so used to singing at practice, and I was going crazy on stage, and I was getting tired, and I was like, "Oh man!" But everybody in the crowd was so supportive. That was like literally some of our day ones, like our first ever out of town show, like that really was crazy was Kamloops, and I remember when we first booking the tour, we were like, well, we have Kamloops on the tour, Tim's gonna, I hope Tim has a great time. And everybody there just made the whole experience amazing. And it really set the tone for not just the tour, but just the rest of being in the band.
Yeah. Yeah. Going off of that, can you talk about what just a typical Calling All Captains show is like, maybe for anyone who hasn't seen you live? Like, I love that your stage is just very simple. It's just you guys performing.
Yeah. Well, if you see us in our hometown, we'll usually get a bit of extra production. We're thankful to have our manager also run lights for us.
Mhm.
You know, But typical captain show, we show up on stage, we say what's good, we get right to it, and we encourage stage diving, moshing. Our last Edmonton show, we actually had to stop after the first song 'cause somebody got hurt.
Oh, God.
Uh, they were good, they were all good,
Good.
but it gets rowdy. It's definitely um, a lot of high energy performance. You know, Tim takes his shirt off after the third song. Yeah, it's we like to have laughs on stage too. So like if we can make a joke here or there, we definitely try that. I don't know, it's just we just like to have fun, you know, like if we have fun then we hope you do too.
Nice. I'd also love to know, since I found you guys through social media, I'm sure a lot of other fans have as well as other bands. What is it like just being a band in this digital era? Like, because I feel like it's almost like a double-edged sword. You know, you can get your stuff out to people super quick, but then there's so many other people trying to do the same thing. Like, is it hard? Have you found like any tactics that work for you guys, or is it just kind of like post whatever, see what sticks?
You know what? I'm probably at odds with it the most
Mhm.
just because I really like the idea of that old way of rock and roll where
Yeah.
you just go to the studio, put out a record, go tour, come back, you know, bills are paid. But that is just so not the reality now. You know, it is a double-edged sword. You know, I'm thankful that I can post something to the internet and, you know, hundreds of thousands of people can have the opportunity to check it out. But at the same time, that 100,000 people or however many is spread out throughout the world. So unless you're boots on the ground touring and promoting in each of these cities specifically, you won't get a chance to build a live fan base. So that's one of the things about being an artist is that you could have, you know, 500,000 monthly listeners and then book a tour and you got 20 people at your show.
Hmm.
And it's like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Like it's it is just strange, to be honest. It is just a strange thing. Like it is such a positive way to be an artist that you can not have to grind so hard and be on the road, you know, 200 days out of the year just to feed yourself. But it's also wild that you can do this from anywhere.
Mhm.
So, like, we're from Edmonton, Alberta, but we've been able to sell out Chain Reaction in California just from social media and marketing.
Yeah.
And that's like that's such a powerful, powerful tool.
Yeah.
But when you get to band practice and you end up filming reels and TikToks for 3 hours and you don't get to play your songs, it's like
Right.
you know, it's definitely it's just a strange give and take from it. I don't
Right.
know about you know, but the thing is that in in itself is its own art form. So you have people like Tim who just makes the most out of it and just like gets laughs. You know, you can do skits. You know, like it's that's one of the coolest aspects about it is that I like that it's available, but I don't like how it's mandatory. That's what I'll say.
That's fair.
And I think it's just like you were saying, Samantha, it really is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And for the average musician, discoverability has gone up, but income has gone way down, right? That's kind of the trade-off that we get in the digital age is it's a lot easier to be discovered, but that dilutes how much musicians are able to make as income, right? And you know, the last thing we do this for is income. Like we've been getting paid in pizza and beer for decades, and we're fine with that. Like we'll do that until we die if we have to, because we just love playing and writing so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, till
Um,
death.
yeah, but yeah, that's just it's the trade off, right?
Right.
You gotta balance it, make the best out of it. I do like what Luke said about content creation in the digital age.
Mhm.
It is its own art form, and I 100% get it when people begrudge that fact. You know that like Luke said, it's almost mandatory now, which kind of sucks, right? Like there are definitely some musicians they just want to create music, and I feel that.
Yeah.
What I've realized over the past couple of years, though, is it's all creativity, right? Whether you're making music or making videos or anything to do with that, a lot of the creative principles apply to all of them,
Yeah.
right? Composition is composition, whether it's a song or a video, right? There's balance, structure, contrast. And every day when I'm making videos, I keep finding parallels between, the music process and the video creation process.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to embrace it, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it because
Nice.
I do like making skits.
Yeah, skits are sick.
Yeah, we like having a laugh. And what I think is really cool is, I do have a quote unquote strategy for my
Mhm.
social media. 4 times a day for 10 minutes at a time, I tell myself I'm going to go blast positivity all over the internet. And
Nice.
I do that, 5 or 6 days a week. And it led us to you, right?
Yes.
So we're big with manifesting in this band. We think that, what you put out into the universe, you're going to get back. And this is literal proof, right? Those
Yeah.
little pockets of time where I was like, I'm going to blast some positivity into the internet. It connected us, right?
Yes.
So
What's our mantra?
thoughts become things.
Yeah, baby.
Yes. Yeah, I could talk to you for like hours about manifestation. So yeah, I understand that. Oh, okay. So Zoom is yelling at us. We have about like 2 minutes left. Just want to give you a heads up so it doesn't like cut us off. Real quick, I like to ask everyone that I speak to, since we're pop horror, what is your favorite scary movie?
I detest scary movies.
Ooh, really?
Want to know why?
Yes.
Because I get scared.
Well,
Oh man.
no shit.
You know what though? A scary movie that I actually really liked would be Insidious. It's a bit jump scary, but
Yeah.
I just like the vibes were crazy.
Yeah.
Great series. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this would count as like a scary movie, but the Alien series. I know it's
Okay.
kind of sci-fi, but yeah, when I was a kid, Alien and Alien 2 were top notch in my books.
Yeah. Good pick.
Goosebumps, the TV show.
Oh my
That's
God,
the
yeah.
one. That's the one.
And the books. Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you both so much. Tim, I have to ask you about the Simpson artwork on your wall though, before it cuts us off.
This is my wall of fine art.
Did you do that? I've been staring at it the whole time.
So that was my friend Reed McGill.
Nice.
Uh, we have a mutual love of the Simpsons. So
Okay.
yeah, a couple years back, I commissioned them, asked them to do some paintings for me. So I got Starfish Maggie, Stupid Sexy Flanders, Hans Moleman, and everything's coming up Millhouse.